welcome to Quiet Echo. I'm Aisha Khalid, and I'll be your host for today's episode. It's Saturday, the day we slow down, step back from the noise, and ask the questions nobody seems to be asking. Today's question came to me early this morning. I was standing at my kitchen window, watching the frost on the cedars, when I heard the news from South Carolina. 920 measles cases, mostly children, one county. And across the nation, more than 730 cases in just 5 weeks. That alone would be enough to talk about. But here is what stopped me cold. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the agency we built to be the nation's health watchman, has gone nearly silent. Doctors across the country say they are flying blind. The CDC has drastically reduced the health alerts it sends to hospitals, clinics, and local health departments. No formal alert has gone out about the South Carolina outbreak, the worst measles outbreak since the disease was declared eliminated in the year 2000. And the Watchman said nothing. Now, I am not here to tell you what to think about that. This is Saturday. This is Quiet Questions. I am here to ask you something harder. When the Watchman goes silent, who keeps watch? Let me tell you what I have seen in Cedar Valley this week. I saw Dan at the hardware store. He was buying weather stripping for his daughter's front door because her furnace is running hard, and he noticed the draft when he visited on Tuesday. Nobody told Dan to check on his daughter's house. He just pays attention. That is who Dan is. I saw Teresa at the post office. She mentioned that 2 children in her Sunday school class had been out sick for a week. She did not panic. She called their mothers. She asked questions. She passed along what she learned to the other parents. No government agency told Teresa to do that. She did it because she believes that caring for the children in her community is not optional. And I spoke with Dr. Langford at the clinic. She told me something I have been thinking about ever since. She said the health alert system was never meant to replace a doctor's judgment. It was meant to support it. And she said something else. She said the silence from Washington does not change what she knows. 2 doses of the MMR vaccine are 97% effective against measles. That fact does not require a press release. It requires a parent who is paying attention. Here is where the deeper question lives. We have spent a generation building institutions and then handing them our responsibilities. We gave public health agencies the job of worrying about disease so we would not have to. We gave school boards the job of raising our children's character so we could focus on other things. We gave the federal government authority over matters that once belonged to families and communities. And now, when those institutions stumble, and they do, because every institution is only as strong as the people running it, we act surprised. We act betrayed. But were we paying attention in the first place? A pilot, and I know a few, checks the weather before every flight. Not because the tower requires it, because lives depend on it. He does not wait for someone in a control room 1,000 miles away to tell him the sky looks dangerous. He looks out the window. He reads the instruments. He trusts his training. The tower is a resource. It is a good resource, but it is not a substitute for a pilot's eyes and a pilot's judgment. The same is true for the health of our children. Now, I want to be careful here. I have neighbors who vaccinate without hesitation. I have neighbors who carry sincere questions and want to study the matter before making a decision. I respect both. Cedar Valley is a place where we can disagree without despising each other. That is what makes this town work. But I will say this plainly. Indifference is not the same as freedom. A parent who has studied the question and reached a conclusion, whatever that conclusion may be, has exercised freedom. A parent who has not bothered to ask the question at all has exercised nothing but neglect. And a government official who describes losing our national measles elimination status as the cost of doing business has confused liberty with carelessness. Freedom is not the absence of responsibility. Freedom is the presence of it. You are free precisely because you are trusted to make good decisions. For yourself, for your children, for the people who sit beside you at church on Sunday morning. So here is what I am leaving on your kitchen table this Saturday. If the weatherman stopped giving forecasts, would you stop looking at the sky? If the doctor stopped calling, would you stop caring for your family? If the watchman went silent, I am running a few minutes late, my previous meeting is running over. If the tower went dark, would you go back to sleep? Cedar Valley would not. I know this town. I know its people. Dan would not. Teresa would not. Dr. Langford would not. And I do not believe you would either. The institutions may falter. Let us not. That is your quiet question for this Saturday. Sit with it. Talk about it at breakfast. And if you have children or grandchildren, do what Dan does. Do what Teresa does. Pay attention. Ask questions. Do not wait for someone else to keep watch over what matters most to you. This has been Quiet Echo. I'm Aisha Khalid. Have a thoughtful weekend. We will see you Monday. This podcast is part of the fictional Cedar Valley news series. While the people in town are fictional, the national events they reflect on are real. Want to know the full story behind Cedar Valley? Teresa, Caleb, Dan, and the community you've come to know in these editorials first came together in Quiet Echo. Discover how a small town found its way from fear to fellowship, one quiet act of courage at a time. Available on Amazon.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time, keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open.